The Seattle Mariners are not done, and they were determined to add another relief arm as they acquire lefty reliever Caleb Ferguson from the Pittsburgh Pirates in exchange for some players the Pirates hope can actually help them during their competitive window. Ferguson was the lefty at the back end of the Pirates bullpen and was someone that a lot of Pirates fans expected to be traded as an arm that was highly sought after this deadline, meaning the Mariners acquired a very good talent and another great lefty reliever to add to an already potent pitching staff and strong back end of the bullpen up in Seattle. In exchange for Ferguson, the Mariners are giving up a top 30 prospect in their system who's hit 100 miles an hour on his fastball in the past. And although he doesn't have the best command, the ability to do that and even some refinement from the Mariners' elite pitching development is something that Pirates fans should be excited about in terms of who they got back in this deal. In this deal, we'll dive into the trade that sends Ferguson across the country from Pittsburgh to Seattle, dive into exactly what both players involved in the trade actually manifest and what they give to each of their new teams, and at the very end, give trade grades for the Pirates and the Mariners to see who at this point has won this trade and figure out how this could impact teams going forward. If you are interested in this kind of content, it would really mean a lot if you could subscribe to the channel. It's the easiest way to help me out. You'll get more trade deadline content like this from me and other great baseball content creators out there as well. Without further ado, let's dive into the Pirates Mariners trade that just happened and see exactly how each team made out in this deal. Ferguson has played all over in the past couple seasons, playing with the Dodgers in 2023, where he began his career in 2018, before playing for two teams last year, the Yankees and the Astros, before sticking now with Pittsburgh in 2025, signing a one-year, $3 million contract this past offseason. He's had somewhat of a career resurgence with the Pirates. The past couple seasons, he has not been great. A 0.5 WAR season in 2024, he really suffered with the Yankees. 0.1 WAR in 2023 with the Dodgers, and so far his baseball reference WAR in 2025 with the Pirates is 0.6. That's good for a 3.74 ERA across 43 and a thirds innings pitched. He doesn't strike out a ton of guys, only 34 batters striking out in those 43 innings pitched, good for a 7.1 strike per nine. But especially for a reliever and a back end reliever at that, he does a good job at not walking a lot of guys. 2.9 walks per 9 innings, definitely very solid. In terms of his fielding independent pitching, it's also been very low. The past two seasons actually has been pretty low. A 3.41 so far in 2025, definitely very solid numbers. Where he's really shined this year, though, is that walk rate is really helping lower his walks and hits per innings pitched. This is by far his lowest walks per nine for any season he's pitched more than 20 innings, and that's definitely been a big reason why his walks and hits per innings pitched is a career low 1.085, which is a very good number, especially for a reliever. The fact that he doesn't walk a lot of guys, even though he doesn't strike out a lot of guys, a command kind of pitcher, has been very effective in a late inning role for a struggling Pirates team this year. This trade also makes a lot more sense given that they just acquired Taylor Rogers, another player on an expiring contract, and another lefty into their bullpen in the trade that sent Brian Hayes from Pittsburgh to Cincinnati. So Ferguson, although he was a middle reliever, maybe a little bit of a higher leverage guy, someone who could rack up a few holds, is not someone who is a super high end back end piece in the bullpen. So it looks like they made about a clean swap there of two players on expiring contracts, both lefties. Rogers a little bit older, but at the end of the day, unimportant since both are free agents at the end of the year. Ferguson is definitely a little more sought after, and the Mariners decided to strike, and they really hope that he can fit in the back end of their bullpen, which their pitching staff is definitely their strong suit right now, with Andres Munoz and Matt Brash in the back end. And they're really right now their only lefty reliever is Gabe Spire, who has definitely been solid this year without a doubt, has picked up a lot of holds for the Mariners. It's definitely a position they wanted to improve, given that their bullpen is not full of lefties, with only 3 total on the 40-man roster before this trade, and 2 of them being in the minor leagues. Ferguson is definitely an immediate upgrade to some of the back end pieces in the current Mariners bullpen, and a couple of them still have some options, which is definitely a good thing. I expect to see one of them sent down and not necessarily DFA'd in this move. We'll see though. The Mariners do have a full 40-man, so crazier things have happened. But I do think this is a solid back-end addition for the Mariners, and Ferguson will be a nice additional lefty as the Mariners go ahead and push for the postseason, currently 4.5 back of the Astros, and in position for a wild card in a very tough American League. The player heading back to Pittsburgh in this deal is 19-year-old Jeter Martinez, who sits at 6'4", 180 pounds, and as I've already mentioned, has hit 100 miles an hour on that fastball. He signed for a relatively cheap $600,000 in the 2023 international signing class, headlined by another signing by the Mariners and Fanny Celestine. And he did decently well with his 3 pitches that he has. He has a fastball, a slider, and a changeup. It looks like they're all at least going to be average, if not slightly above average. Scouts believe that his fastball and slider are going to be those plus pitches. Again, if you're throwing 100 miles an hour, it's very difficult for that not to be one of your best pitches and one of the best fastballs in all of minor league baseball, let alone Major League Baseball. So a little more refinement. He doesn't have the best control, but the potential is definitely to go ahead and improve that. In 2024, in the Arizona Complex League, he walked 17% almost of all batters, which is not necessarily a great number. So far in 2025, he's made the jump to high A and has struggled just a little bit. A 2-6 record, 6.18 ERA across 62 and 2/3 innings pitched. And although he has struck out 60 batters as a starter, he has walked 38, which is definitely not ideal. Given the fact that he has those 2+ pitches, it's probably more likely he ends up in a bullpen role, in my opinion. I don't really see him sticking as a starter, unless he can improve that control a little bit. But again, 6'4", less than 200 pounds, he definitely has the ability to bulk up, add some weight, maybe even increase some velocity on that fastball a little bit more, which is kind of crazy to even think about. So there's definitely some really interesting potential with Martinez. The fact he's so young too, he's not turning 20 until after the season's over. As a matter of fact, he's not turning 20 until next year, right before spring training. So still very young, very raw. And the Pirates also have a really good pitching development system. If you look at their minor leagues, full of really interesting and good pitching prospects. And that bodes well for Jeter Martinez potentially being a very good piece going forward. Given that he's still only in single A, I wouldn't expect him to make his debut for at least a couple more years. Again, he's still very young, still needs a lot of refinement. Almost gotten to 100 miles an hour on that fastball. Very interesting player, but still needs a lot of refinement. And given that I think the Pirates' window is probably closer than that, I wouldn't be shocked to see him as another piece traded in a couple years. Currently sitting at number 22 on Baseball America's list for the Mariners' top 30. Definitely could see him rise up a little bit based on how he does, being very young for high A right now. It's a very interesting player and is someone I would definitely keep an eye on if I am a Pirates fan, of someone who could be another quick riser, as you've had a ton of pitchers in the system end up being very interesting pieces long term. Now that we've talked about both these players, it's only fair to grade each of the teams and see exactly how they did in these deals. For the Pirates, I'm just going to give this a solid A. I think when you look at what Ferguson offered, it made sense that there was no need for him to stay on the Pirates roster, given that you're not contending this year. Currently 18 games back in the division, significantly below 500. No chance you're making the playoffs. Capitalize on an expiring contract. I think they got a decent return as well. Jeter Martinez is a high upside piece, probably going to be a bullpen piece long term. He has 3 pitchers that could work as a starter, which is always a plus, but I wouldn't be sitting here super excited about his opportunity to be a starter, even though he has started in the minor leagues, and I think the Pirates are going to let him do that. If they can harness his control, he will be a starter. He has the potential to be a very good, maybe a ceiling number 3 starter, but probably more realistically a 4 or 5, which is totally fine. I think part of the reason why this isn't an A+ is because I don't know if he necessarily fits in with the timeline that the Pirates have. Again, Paul Skenes is only going to be a Pirate for so long unless he signs an extension. With Bob Nutting, who knows what the heck that man's going to do. I think they need to. I think all baseball fans want Paul Skenes to sign an extension in Pittsburgh, except the teams that want to sign him, of course, which probably should be every team, but realistically, a few. So I don't know if he's actually going to be in the Pirates' plans long term, and if they can flip him for something in a couple years when they are contending, that's going to be a great benefit to them. More and more people have caught on to the fact that the Pirates have a very good pitching development system, especially this year, and that's not just because Paul Skenes is amazing. He would be amazing regardless, but they have tons of top prospects as pitchers, maybe even the best pitching prospect in baseball in Bubba Chandler. A lot of really interesting pitchers going on in the Pirates organization, and I'm confident in their ability that if they can fix his control issues, this would be one of the teams that would be able to do so. So there's definitely a lot of high upside with a couple downsides, but I'm decently content with what the Pirates did here. I'm going to give the Mariners the same grade, actually, of an A. I think when you look at the Mariners organization, they are probably even a little bit more well known for their ability to develop pitchers. And if you look at their minor league system, at the top, there's a lot of position players, but there is a glutton of pitchers in this range that he exists in. Jeter Martinez is definitely really close to a lot of the second or third tier pitchers in the Mariners minor league organization, however you want to look at it. And with just a glutton of pitchers there, you might as well trade from a place of surplus where you know that you have a lot of players there and you're not just trading away a really good foundational piece at shortstop. Then maybe you only have one shortstop, really good prospect in that system. They are confident in their ability to develop pitchers, which they should be. And it really does seem like their ability to do so is going to be a very strong benefit to them as they go ahead and trade away some of their depth at this position that they've been able to develop, sign for a relatively cheap amount as an international free agent. $600,000 is a lot to most people who are probably watching this video, and probably middle of the road when you look at the actual list of players who sign as an international free agent. It's on the higher end because a lot of players do sign for $10,000, $20,000, but it's not as high as some of the big players who sign for $3, $4, $5 million. So probably middle of the road there. So the fact that it would develop him to a piece they could trade away is definitely a huge, huge plus for the Mariners. And frankly, Ferguson fits into a bullpen that needs a lefty, which is super important for them right now as they make a big playoff push, try to win a wild card, if not overtake the Astros in the AL West. Right now, they're 4.5 games back. Still a potential there. Fangraphs gives them a 26.9% chance to win the AL West, So definitely a good shot there for them to do that. And Ferguson only adds to that ability to win the West and make the playoffs, which currently 74.1% chance according to Fangraphs. So thank you for making it to the end of the video. If you've gotten this far, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It's the easiest way to help me out and help this channel grow and get you more trade deadline coverage. Thank you again for watching the video, and I hope to see you in the very next video.